Okay. Wait. I always say this. Whenever I stream, my nose gets itchy. So I have to scratch it. It's so annoying. I don't get why that happens so often. Or I simply have a bias where I only notice it when I'm streaming. Which could be it, right? Because I'm more self-conscious when I'm streaming of what I'm doing. So maybe that's why I think that it is more itchy when I stream. Maybe it simply isn't more itchy and I only notice it in those moments, right? Alrighty. Yo, what up, Regulus? This is the match, right? Bronze VOD, Gibraltar, and we're spectating Cow. Also, this is PC, okay. So, do this.
Attackers in 30 seconds. Overwatch will shut down for a week. Attackers incoming.
So, okay.
Stop the payload.
Let's go to our player POV. We're watching a bronze Genji player on PC playing on one of the best, if not the best map for Genji in current Overwatch, which is Gibraltar. So let's go. Also, I find it interesting, it's bronze and there is a Doomfist doing parkour here. This is the stall spot. I'm pretty sure that you need to keep pressing forward here, but I didn't think that you would see this in bronze, but maybe. I guess so. Or it's a Smurf. We're probably gonna be seeing that later. Yo, what up, Nautilus? How am I doing? I'm doing okay. Not the best, but we're here. Yo, what up, Optimism? Or rather, the fake one. Yes, Genji map is Anubis. I don't think so. I don't think so. One of the main reasons why I don't think Anubis is the best Genji map is because of the player base. Yo, what up, Zibdi? The main reason why I think that Anubis isn't the best Genji map is because of the player base. The player base will often see, okay, Genji, the only thing that Genji does that's useful is Blade. Nano Blade usually, right? So people are gonna be like, okay, we AFK for 2 minutes, we farm Nano Blade, and we Nano Blade in. But the tanks are not gonna move in, you're gonna be moving in alone, and you're expected to 1v6 against 5-6 ultimates with only a Nano Blade, and if you don't kill everyone, it's your fault, right? That's one of the main reasons why I don't think that Anubis is the best Genji map, because of the mentality that the average player in current Overwatch has, right? That thinks that Genji is merely a Blade bot and doesn't know how to actually work with a Genji to make him have proper value. Because Genji really needs a lot of setup from the team, right? To be able to, or usually at least, to shine solo. Or rather, what am I talking about? I'm mixing up the order of what I'm gonna talk. 2CP, right, is gonna be a game mode where it's really tough for you to maneuver around the map. So, for example, Gibraltar. Let's say you are attacking Gibraltar. The enemies have a good power position here on the high ground, right? What can you do as Genji? Alone. It doesn't require a team. You climb here, you walk inside, if no one checks here, boom, you have a free way to get behind them and get to do something. What can you do in Anubis, for example, Anubis B attack? The flanks are almost always gonna be checked. There are only really 3 ways that you can go, and they're very close to each other, right? So 2CP is way tougher to actually crack open a defense, right? So doing solo plays is way tougher. And with the mentality that the player base has about Genji being a blade bot and stuff like that, makes it so you're only realistically gonna be getting value from those plays. So if you don't manage to actually win through those, then you're kind of screwed, right? You're only gonna get a few attempts at it before the time ends. So in a map like Gibraltar, you're gonna have the points, for example, this area or this area, right? The end of every point is QCP-esque, because the spawn is gonna be way better for the defense, right? And the defense is gonna have way better positions. But so blading and using ultimates to crack open a defense like that gets the value similarly to a QCP play, right? But differently from QCP, you also have way more room to make individual plays that don't rely on you having a team, right? Just like I talked about, flanking around, getting a position, doing a solo play on the backline, getting a pick, getting out, stuff like that, right? So that's why I don't think that Anubis is the best Genji map, even though it is certainly one of the best Genji maps out there. I would put it up there in S tier, probably with Numbani and Gibraltar. I would put these three maps in S tier. I mean, yeah, it's still a good map. I'm just making my point as for why I don't think it is the best map. Also, let me quickly check. Alright, I'm going to ignore this for now. If you, the player that is getting VOD reviewed right now, is watching and you want to join in the voice chat so for the VOD review, then let me know, and I'll and join on the Discord voice chat /Q, and I'll pull you to the voice chat I'm using, so that then we can chat during this review. Otherwise, I'll just be VOD reviewing this without asking questions, or just talking to you in chat if you decide to chat in there. But if you don't want to, there is no problem in that. So the first thing, right? You're still in spawn after 20 seconds. This obviously I can't get a judgment on whether or not you always do this, but usually, and I'm gonna talk here not just for you, for everyone, right, in case there's someone that doesn't know this. Poking here at the bridge is interesting. As long as you don't get one shot, you're gonna get some interesting pressure. Very rarely will you get a pick, and the pick would be very low value, but main thing would be for you to get the scout. And then it is also up to you, right? You can pick and scout, or you can simply stay here hidden in the room so that when someone walks in, you might just be able to obliterate them, right? And if your team is holding here as well, it doesn't have to be a squishy, for example. If a Winston jumps top here and tries to just get some early damage and reset and posture for positioning, right? And then you have a stun, for example, a Cassidy stun, mouse chew, so 300 damage plus your team, that Winston is dead, right? So hiding in the room, I would argue, is the best option, but you can still poke. What you're doing here is probably because you were late, because you stayed in spawn for so long. But then you choose to default to this position to poke with your team. And sure, this is safer, there are the shields, right? But you're doing very little. I'm gonna watch a little bit and then I'm gonna comment on this. Alright. So, I said... Oh, I forgot to get some more water, whatever. I can get water later. Right, this isn't the worst position, you're pretty safe and you're poking the enemy team out, they're kind of forced to push payload. They don't want to give up payload this early to push for positioning. So they're kind of going to have to eat your bullets. So this isn't the worst thing in the world. But this is far from the best. You can do more pressure by simply existing top and threatening to peek and drop on someone. Right, they're gonna have to constantly look up. They might even throw cooldowns at you, such as dynamite, and then you can get healed by your team there. You don't have to get forced out by that damage. No longer there isn't the threat of someone finishing you from that cooldown, right? So, for example, Winston jumping in and stuff. Not invest dash to get high ground? Yeah. Also, one comment, and this is something that I would recommend watching my aim guide for. You have your reset shield, you're very safe. But you're not actually landing shots, even though you're completely safe. And one of the main reasons for this is, why are you moving so much? Why are you making aiming harder on yourself? If you're completely safe by this shield, you literally can stand still right here, in front of the Orisa, shooting on a spam lane. Doesn't matter, you don't even have to aim if you don't want to. You can just spam here, because this is where enemies are likely to be staying, because it's closest to cover. And then you're gonna be getting some damage in by them just walking into your shots. And the moment that the Orisa shield breaks, you deflect. You standing still doubles as again. Alright, actually, let me rephrase this. Whenever you stand still, it is easier to aim because you don't have to consider your own movement on your aiming, right? So you don't have to compensate. I'm moving right, so I have to move my aim a little bit left just for it to stand still, right? My crosshair to stand still. For Genji, it isn't useful just for maximizing your aim, it is also useful to bait enemies into thinking they're gonna get some free damage on you, and then you can turn that into a deflect, right? So Genji can turn bad movements or no movement or stuff like that into an advantage for him with deflect. So that is another reason why you could be standing still here for the spam, right? If you're gonna be spamming from this position. If there are no shields there, I mean, he can just peek. He could use a head peek or something like that. Head peek is where you're like only picking your head, and then that allows you to see the enemies and shoot, so they can only see a part of your body. So it is harder for them to actually hit you. Sure, it can be dangerous if they do headshot you, but it is less dangerous than peeking with your whole body, right? So something like this, right, could be considered a head peek depending on the character's height, because that could mean that you could hide part of your body and only peek with your head, and that would mean that you could maybe see them to shoot. That really depends on the character, and also that changes from game to game. Like Apex has way better head peeks than Overwatch does, but Overwatch does have head peeks. But you can also just be peek shooting, so you go out, shoot, wait behind cover for your recovery between shots, right? That would be probably better to do on the high ground, which is something that I'm gonna be talking in a second about. So okay, miss most of these shots. Then you're reloading when you still have ammo and the wrist is pulling, which is one of the biggest opportunities for you. As a Genji, or rather, anyone really should be looking out for pull to line up damage, right? And pull is gonna be gone in Overwatch 2, sure, but it's not like all abilities that aid you in hitting your targets are gonna be gone in Overwatch 2. Pull is very similar to ball slam, so pile driver, because it allows you to line up your shots. The ball slams in, everyone goes towards the ball and into the air, right? So they're easier to line up. It's a little bit different from pull on the exact way that they get grouped and CC'd, but it is the same concept, right? So this doesn't only apply to pull. So abilities like this are abilities that you should be looking out for to line up damage, because these, if you have a team that is coordinated enough, this is something that you can actually dash and feel pretty safe about getting a dash reset to get out. Not in this scenario, I don't think, but I'm just saying. Also, I would argue that it's better for you to drop behind and do a secondary fire dash back, because if you get a kill, you get a kill, and if you don't, you're out, you're not engaging in. But it's a whole other conversation about pathing, which we might need to have in this video, but it's too early to talk about. Right? But okay, you're walking here. Now you're picking 2 hit scans, so this rotation that you could maybe do with the wall climb is dangerous for you to do. So I'd advise against it. And there is a hog here. Okay, you do the dash, and I think that dashing here is actually the best thing that you could have done. One, the hog is creeping in here. You could deflect preemptively. It doesn't necessarily need to hook, but it's better for you to deflect preemptively, to not deflect and die there. And this also puts you out of the danger zone of the hit scans that we're trying to get high ground here immediately, and gives you a powerful position. So although not ideal, you would rather have your dash wall here. It's still the best option for you to dash here, right? But then you immediately give up the position, which means that you just wasted dash and wasted your time. And then you dash up here again, and you didn't do anything between this time. So you wasted 8 seconds basically. Now you're doing something, you're poking the Ashe out, alright. There is no reason for you to not be shooting realistically unless you're afraid of her shooting you back. Because she already knows you're here, because you just dashed and made in everyone's LOS and made a pretty big sound. They know you're here. You're not trying to do a sneaky drop on them to assassinate someone, right? So also there is also even less reason for you to not peek and shoot the Ashe, because you have Anna to support you from range, while also having deflect to be able to turn Ashe's damage back to her, so you're not really afraid of dying here. It's a good thing that you did that. And now you have your dash available, and you are in this bridge, and there are lots of things to talk about here. And it's not all because this is a bad play. There is something really good that you did here, right? So, you have both your cooldowns, you're in the bridge. This is the objective that I talked about at the very start, of you starting here, maybe waiting here, or just poking and resetting back here in the door, waiting for them to push payload to be able to have this threat of dropping down and assassinating someone, right? So you are in this position, there is a Mercy in front of you. Who is threatening you? The Ashe isn't picking you anymore. You scared her off. The soldier is right under you. There is no one that's gonna jump top. You don't need to be doing crazy movement. You can just stand still, line up some shots on the Mercy, and then walk up to her, right? So the reason for that is, what if you miss the shots while you are airborne? Then the enemies are gonna be able to see you, and then you have to rush to dash back or get a kill. If you just stay in the high ground while not being threatened, you can shoot this Mercy as long as you want, and then try to chase her when she gets low or when she tries to get into cover, right? That gives you more freedom, more time to get the kill, line up shots, and be safer on the play. Okay, you whiff some shots, that happens. You watch out for the Ashe, she isn't shooting you, great. Now you go for the dash. This dash is okay. You're trying to close the distance to actually get some better shots on the Mercy, a better angle. But you end up missing the dash, you end up missing your shots, it happens. This isn't the worst thing in the world either, because 1, the Mercy is running, right? And 2, you have a position that you can play to poke the enemies out, and you're safe, right? You didn't feed for this dash, you just tried to punish her and failed the play, but you didn't die for it. Now you're done your dash. Now though, and this isn't common to happen when you were very loud, right? But these enemies, because it's bronze, they simply don't care that you're here, or simply forgot that you're here. And you did hit a little bit of damage and it no regs, great. But there is still no rush for you to be shooting, right? If you missed basically all of your shots here. Let's imagine the following scenario. Right after you do this. You dropped on them. right? You're not confident in shooting them while airborne, while having to look at an awkward angle, right? You're not confident in that, especially because you don't have dash, so you don't shoot them. You don't shoot them so they don't notice that you're here, right? You're silent, you're just trying to wait for the perfect opportunity to assassinate someone. The soldier is still moving a lot. You don't know where he will strafe towards, you're not confident in your aim, you don't have to rush your shots if they don't know you're here. You wait for the right opportunity to shoot, right? Now they notice that you're here, so now that makes the shots harder to land, because you can see the N is now strafing for you. Before they were strafing for the people here, but at some point they might have a movement trajectory that is predictable to you, and that makes the shots easier to land. Now that the Anna is strafing from you because she notices your threat, then it becomes harder for you, and then you're blown out of the play, which is a good thing. You didn't hard commit to this play because your dash got out of cooldown and you just dashed out, so you got out alive from this play. But this is a very important thing, and I'm gonna dedicate a video on this topic of... Actually, I don't know if an entire video on this topic, but this is one of the things that I'm gonna be talking about on the video on common Genji mistakes, right? Wasting flank opportunities. This is not... I wonder if I would consider this a flank. Don't care, right? If this wouldn't necessarily be considered a flank or not. I would argue that it is a flank. Yeah. I don't think there is any reason not to call this a flank. But from this position, if they don't know you're here, there is no reason to rush your shots, right? And this is one of the main things that players do, and as you climb the ranks, people are gonna notice your threat sooner when you make a sound, and then you're gonna lose great opportunities for assassinations. You're not gonna get the time that this player had to shoot 4 or 5 times before they notice you. You're gonna shoot once and you're gonna turn, right? So that's the importance of actually getting the timing of your flank right. So now you try to shoot at the pole, which is good, but Sigma used his, I forgot the name of the ability, the hand thing, the matrix thing that eats the bullets, right? And that prevented the damage from going there. At least this time you looked out for the pole and you tried to deal some damage there. And now you're back in this position, which applies some pressure on the enemy. As you can see, the Ashe is afraid of you. And now you're trying to look for the Ana. Good. Now, one thing that I don't like is how unaware you are of when you're picking enemy positions. Let's go back 20 seconds. Right? Right now, you don't have deflect. Look at how many enemies you're picking. The soldier arguably doesn't see you very well. But 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of them can shoot you? 3. And one of them can boost the other's damage, right? You're down all of your cooldowns. And you're over-peeking them. You're not just making a beeline for the shield. You're just actively avoiding the shield even though you were down your cooldowns, right? And this is something that you're repeatedly doing so far. You're just over-peeking enemies and not noticing the danger that you are. You deflect the threat of the Ashe, right? She's shooting you here, which is pretty safe to assume that by the time that you rotate over this doorway, or whatever, she's gonna be able to see you too, because she can do the same movement, and then she's gonna have the sightline on you, right, instead of this one. But those are 2 parallel lines, right? And if you don't double jump, right, if you just walk here, get top and crouch, she probably doesn't see you. But you're taking free damage and risking dying to the mercy pocketed Ashe, right? By overpicking them because you are unaware or simply forgot about their sightline, or you're simply underestimating the danger of the sightline, right? This was better. You hit way more shots, but you still rushed their play. You should be dead here. Good thing there you use the safety of the deflect to actually slowly and calmly get your aiming correct and basically one-shot the Ashe, right? Which is good. And it shows that it doesn't matter if you did it on purpose or not, right? You did something that helps you maximize your aim, right? And it shows that you can do it. It's not like you can't do those things, it's just that you're not looking out to do those things, right? Which is what this VOD review is for, right? A little bit scary, probably should have deflected and just backed. But what you did with the dash was still good. Speed will come with time. But right now you're mostly actually respecting the sightlines that I talked about you previously not respecting, which is good. Now you're trying to get high ground, deny Ashe high ground, which is good. Nice. Now you're looking to drop behind the enemy, good. And now one of the main mistakes is again you rushing. You're rushing your shots, and that's the main reason why you don't get the kill on the Mercy with the Nano. The Blade did get value, but this is another mistake that is very common. Okay, you rush your shots and that's why you missed them. This is a very common mistake. Who are you dashing? You're not dashing the Soldier, which is very limited on how he can run away from you. You're trying to dash a Mercy that you haven't seen use Guardian Angel. She could very easily Guardian Angel someone, and she has a speed boost from her ultimate, so she could very easily run away from you and you don't get a dash reset, right? So this is very common, for a very common Genji mistake, which is not considering what the enemy can do to outplay you, right? So for example, Moira. Moira has Fade. She can fade away from you and become invulnerable during that duration. What I see a lot of lower ranked players do is instantly try to swing dash swing a Moira, and then the Moira is going to fade in the middle of your combo, get away from you, and you don't have the mobility to chase her anymore. So your entire blade goes to waste simply because you rushed that play. Ideally, what you want to do in those scenarios is get the dash before the blade to get close to them, pull out the blade, swing once, and then use your dash to follow. Oh, the Moira faded. The Moira faded where? Faded to my right, so I'm gonna look right and I'm gonna dash there and I'm gonna finish her off, and then I'm gonna have another dash, right? Same thing with Mercy. Mercy has a Guardian Angel, then you swing her once, you Guardian Angel somewhere, and then you swing. There are some situations where I can outplay different cooldowns differently, maybe without a dash, which is something that I talk about in my Blade guide. So you would like swing and then immediately back up to be in the path between the Mercy and the target that she wants to Guardian Angel towards, so that she walks into you for the second swing. That doesn't require your dash to follow it up, but ideally you have your dash to follow it up, because it's burst of ability, just walking isn't, and the Mercy could still outplay you if you try to do this play of swing, walk back, right? So it's important to keep in mind how you are going to be outplaying these ultimates. Or it can be ultimates, it can be cooldowns, it can simply be mobility, right? The Soldier with the sprints. So it's important to keep those things in mind so that you don't waste your dash and end up wasting your whole blade because of it, right? You're lucky that the Flux gets the finish on the Soldier. It's not even the finish on the Mercy, right? Which was your target. It's a finish on the Soldier that you didn't care to look for. Try to finish yourself, right? Because you chose the wrong targets, right? You chose the very mobile Mercy that is in ultimate instead of the Soldier or the Ana or the Ashe that have very limited mobility and health pools, right? Now after that you go for the Ana, good kill. And then after that you go for the Sigma. You decided it's not worth to stay close to him because you're afraid that he can maybe one-shot you, which is good. You're playing it safe. You already won the fight. Now you finish the Hog, good. You're trying to contest the Soldier in high. A little dangerous for you to kick him for that long. It is a sloppy execution, but that's something that you're gonna be getting better on over time. Also, you know what, whatever, let's stay with the overlay. Up top. But it is important to notice, okay, I want to contest the soldier. Can I do this rotation safely to here? With just wall climb and stuff. If you're gonna be in his LOS and he's gonna be looking at you, you can't do this. So you would need to do a longer rotation. Let's say you wall climb here so that he doesn't have LOS on you, then you rotate over here, and then you can get close to him like that. That's a way to contest him. The way that you did, doesn't matter if you did it sloppily or not, right? Even if you did it perfectly, to waste as little time as possible to get close to him there, here, and as little time as possible in the wall so that you can deflect his damage, it is still a very bad angle of approach onto him, right, if you want to contest him. So the problem here isn't so much in the execution and more on the pathing that you choose to contest him, because I think that it's the right decision for you to try to contest him from such a good angle, right? Especially since you're not gonna only be trading 1 for 1, you're gonna be trading 1 for 2 because the Mercy is pocketing the soldier. And okay, you're now on the high ground here, low HP, you try to reset back to your team with your dash, and you unfortunately get caught in the ultimate and die. You probably should have tried to stay away from the Sigma, instead of getting as close to him there. You could have tried to rotate to this mini or something. But the biggest mistake was earlier, right? It was not your rotation that ended up on the Sigma flex. Oh yeah, let me quickly read what you said on the what are you think? Looking for ways to improve the Brilliant teammates because bronze is wild. Okay, yeah. So this is something that I'm gonna be. I mean, a lot of what I'm talking about doesn't require teamwork. It's just about you. Sure, syncing up your timing with CC ability like pole or pile driver are gonna be things that do require teamwork, but that teamwork doesn't require you to be like, okay, you're gonna work with me. It's gonna be, I am gonna work with you. I am actively gonna position myself in ways and I'm gonna wait for your timing to set myself up, right? You don't need them to cooperate with you. You're gonna be the one cooperating with them, right? So that is teamwork that you can pull off that doesn't require a team, right? That is solo teamwork, which is a funny thing to say, but it is teamwork, right? And it is teamwork that doesn't require your team to be working with you, because your team is not someone that you can control. You can only really control your input on the match. So having teamwork that is dependent on you and not your team is good, and I just gave an example of how to do that, right? But outside of that, a lot of what I'm talking about, pathing and stuff like that, especially on the bridge and the flank timing, are things that are really solo plays, right? If you want to go over that, right? I do work with my team a lot, but I do feel like I am a player that, and sure, Genji is usually considered a very team reliant hero, but I feel like I play him solo a lot. I look for flanks, I look for my plays, look for my own little value on the map depending on the team comp, right? Instead of being so team oriented, especially because a lot of what people consider to be team oriented is simply standing with your team. That isn't necessarily team oriented. I would argue that a Genji that is the 9 enemy positions is playing more team oriented than a Genji that is playing alongside his tank. Because then you might as well just be playing another hero, like a soldier which outputs more damage more consistently, right? Instead of using what Genji is made for, which is holding these positions because he can hold these positions and he's good at contesting people in off angles and stuff like that, right? But that's a discussion that I don't think we need to talk about anymore. I feel like I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, I would argue that you can very much learn to play solo and not really rely on your teammates. You can have some teamwork with the way it is described, but It's not like you're gonna be capped in any way by of your full potential because you don't want to work with your team or you feel like working with your team is hard in bronze, right? So I'm just clearing things up so that there are no misconceptions here, right? Welcome back, Zibdi. Now you want to contest the Ana. You see the hog, good thing that you respect him, and now you go here with your dash. And I really like a lot of the things that you're doing with your dash do waste the dash, yes, but you are putting yourself in good positions with it. You would ideally be holding these positions and have your cooldowns available, but it's better for you to be there with no cooldowns than for you to not be there at all, right? Which is something that I have to commend you for in here, right? You use your dash quite a few times to hold this bridge, you just use this dash now to try to hold blue box, which is one of the strongest positions that First Point has in Gibraltar, so just wanted to comment on that. Now you're trying to contest the Ashe, nice, you get the kill, and now you're trying to rotate back to your team. Now this is something that, again, I'm gonna comment. You can play solo, and sure, working with your team is good, and you could try to pick your team to look for help, but you can. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because you are low behind enemy territory that you have to necessarily be scared. For one, you just kill the Ashe. You could literally just be standing here with 80 HP and camp the res, because the Mercy should not be jumping here with against you. She should not kill you ever unless you fuck up. And then you should be able to deny the res even at 80 HP, unless they send more people after you. At which point you just run away and you're doing your job, right? You could get the Mega here, but since you already saw the Ana and the Hog here, this is dangerous. So I would argue that the best thing for you to do is drop here and get this Mega instead of trying to get help from your team. Because the main thing that this does differently, one, this does not rely on your teammates actually being pushed up enough for them to be able to heal you here, which they aren't. Your team is very far back because a lot of your team just died. And two, this gives your team an off angle, a pincer attack, right? So while your team comes in from the front and most of the enemy team, if not all of them, are going to be focusing here to try to stuff your team and get the cap, you're going to be coming in from an angle, so they're probably not going to be aware of your existence, which makes you landing shots easier, and also there are going to be less defenses for you because the defenses are going to be turned towards your team, right? Such as the Rhine is doing. So this is a massive opportunity. If they look towards you, then your team gets less pressure on them and they get to land easier damage, right? So this will probably be the best course of action here, since you are afraid of going into server room. You don't even know if the Mega is there because the Ana could have taken it. And you just saw two enemy players that are hard to duel, especially, and you can't even duel them when they're together. But already I would argue that it's not a duel anymore, but just the two of them together should never lose to you unless you get like a one shot on the Ana, which is honestly not so much about skill and it's more about luck. Just invest cooldowns to get there, yeah. Which is way better than not knowing these positions, right? It's way easier to fix this simply by getting to those positions through pathing instead of having to learn what good positioning is, right? Which is an interesting thing to see because often you see the opposite, right? Which is what I talked about. People not understanding positioning, but saving, let's say, the cooldowns, right? So it's interesting to be looking at this player. You could arguably have played that better positionally. We talked about that. Mainly your team's fault for not touching. You could arguably have touched, but I would argue that it's not really your fault. And again, good position, you just use your dash here. And for a position that is this drastic, using your dash for it isn't bad. And I'm not saying that you should never be using your dash for this burst ability to get there. I'm just saying that, for example, if you're gonna have this much downtime where you're trying to tell your team to fall back, you can be using this downtime instead to climb up. So get on this engine and then get over here with a double jump and then double jump here. Then you still have your dash, right? I'm trying to make clear that it isn't like, okay, you should never use your dash for mobility like this, because there are lots of moments for you to be using dash for mobility. In fact, genji players in general consider dash to be a damage ability only way too often and underuse it for mobility, but you're using it for mobility in scenarios where you wouldn't necessarily need them. You wouldn't necessarily need to burn your cooldown, because you could simply walk up to these positions, climb up to these positions, double jump to these positions and stuff like that, right? That's what I'm trying to argue. If you need the burst of mobility to get to cover, then sure, doing the dash is completely fine and right. Which you just did, right? Right here.
Team up for special attack.
Now this is dangerous for you to be picking because you don't have your deflect and the shields were down. Good kill on Anna. And you can see the difference when you were patient, right? The moment that you were patient with your aim, you hit your shots. And when you stopped being patient, or when you weren't patient, you didn't hit your shots, right? It's not about mechanical skill, it's about the discipline in the aim, which is one of the main things, right? A lot of players think that their aim is better, and in reality they simply lack the aiming discipline, because mechanical skill is a very small part of aiming. There's a lot more that matters, such as your movements, enemy movements, hard shots versus easy shots, aiming techniques, etc. Right? And if you want detail on that, I would recommend you watch my aiming guide. Oh, sorry. The blade was a little bit of a waste. Your team over-ulted that, but it's better to over-ult that and guarantee the fight than to not hold this powerful position, right? And your team is gonna hold the low ground instead of high ground, which is sad, but I can't expect much from your team. And like, no matter the rank, I'm not saying just because it's bronze, you're gonna see Grandmaster players that play like plat, right? So, as much as you can be like, oh, my team could have done this or that, the next VOD that I'm gonna go about shows that yes, if my team did a little bit more, we would have won that match. But if I did a little bit more, even though I was already playing very well, we would have won. So there is no reason for me to blame my team when I could have done more, right? Just a trap mentality. And it's a good thing that even though your team is positioning badly, you're positioning well here. And as far as the blade goes, you expected the Ashe to die. She got healed, so she didn't die, and then there is where your spaghetti came from. I would argue that before you try to go for speed, you should try to go for getting more used to blade. I don't know how much time you have on Genji, but I think that doesn't matter how much time you have if you're not feeling comfortable on the hero yet, right? You have a little bit of clunkiness in your movements. The blade is also clunky, so, and you should not be ashamed of those things, right? I'm not trying to shame you for those. It's part of the learning process, and everyone has different times to learn these things, right? Let me close this so I don't accidentally spill some water. I would argue that if you want to learn to get better at blade, you don't try to just go like Necros immediately and go ghost dashing everywhere super fast, dash without looking, right? Just do it one step at a time. First, I choose my opponents, I outplay their cooldowns, right? I swing them and I don't miss the swings. Because people, sure, blade has a big hitbox, that doesn't mean that you can't miss it. And even Grandmaster players will sometimes miss swings because of big bursts of movements, right, that they don't react to in time, right? That will happen. So get more used to swinging and trying to miss as little as possible, and then over time you work on the speed so that you can swing the Ashe and dash to the Ana and swing the Ana and then dash to another target or get out or stuff like that. Just get used to it by playing and not trying to rush your learning process, right? Because that is only gonna hurt you in the long term. Better to learn the fundamentals and then work your way up from there, instead of just trying to do a monumental task, which is going from clunky blades to Grandmaster level blades immediately, right?
Fall back. Fall back.
Now, that position that you were holding isn't the worst, and here the main mistake is that you just preemptively deflect instead of waiting, when there is really no reason for you to preemptively deflect. Good finish on the Rhine.
30 seconds.
Now, and this is because you're rushing your shots. Again, it's not like you cannot aim, because you've already shown that you can aim, right? It's just that you're rushing your shots way too often, and thus you're not hitting basically any of your shots. When if you just calm down and wait half a second more to aim, you're probably gonna hit most of your shots if you're a mechanical skill, right? This position, you probably shouldn't give up this easily. They're not rushing you, so this is a good angle, so you probably shouldn't have dropped for the deflect on the Rhine. But I would argue, and that's something that is very important, right? You mentioning fall back to your team. The soldier in here isn't wrong in playing that position. Maybe this position is stronger because he cannot easily rotate from here to here like you can, but since you can do that, you can play these advanced positions. If the enemies go low ground, you can simply drop on them, you have all of your cooldowns, you can try to assassinate someone. If you're threatened, you can deflect or dash away, right? And if they try to go high ground, you can test them, maybe you get a kill, maybe you're hiding in here, when they come out of the door frame you get a one shot, or you contest them and you threaten them away from this position, or whatever. You're simply contesting these angles, right? Genji is very good at that. You have ranged healing on Ana, and Mercy can fly to you and heal you if you need to. So, you don't necessarily need to hold with your team. Genji a lot of times is gonna not necessarily look for full flanks, but off angles. In this position, you're not quite off angling, your team is probably gonna be trying to hold here. And since the enemies can only come from this one position, and your angle is still the same as your team, I wouldn't consider it an off angle. But this is just you trying to hold the position because you have deflect, so you can hold your ground. You have burst of mobility, you have great mobility outside of your dash, right? So double jump, wall climb, ledge grab, right? So you don't necessarily need to just give this position away from free. You can make the enemy fight for these positions as long as you don't die, and then you reset back to your team, right? Then you got more value. And if they don't check you out of this position and then don't try to go on high ground, like I talked about before, you can just drop on them and then you're wreaking havoc. Because that's one of the main goals that you need to be looking out for when playing Genji, right? Where is Genji the most dangerous at? Long range or close range? Close range. Close range is easier to land shots. You don't have to line up 3 different shots 3 times, you just have to land one flurry. I don't know if it's a flurry or whatever. But the fan of shurikens, right? The 3 shurikens. Those are way easier to land than the triple shurikens thrown at different timings, right? Especially because you don't dictate the timing of the 3. It's not like you choose individually when to shoot H. When you press it once, it's gonna shoot automatically, and you just have to constantly track during that time to actually hit those. Or you just have to flick each one of them individually, but whatever. The point is, secondary fire is way easier to land and is in a more comfortable range for you, right? And so one of your main goals as Genji is to get close to the enemy and be there as long as possible. How can you do that? By having your cooldowns, right? So if you are on the high ground and the enemy is on low ground and you have both your cooldowns and they're not paying attention to you, you can drop on them and then you're close range at them and you're free to run away or duel someone if needed with deflect to sustain yourself in the fight, right? That's the importance of pathing and positioning with Genji. And that is why you saying fall back might not necessarily be the worst thing in the world here and might actually apply to your team because they're playing bad positions, but it doesn't apply to you, right? That's what I want to stress. Dropping here for the deflect is very good though. This is a moment where it's worth because one whole hog is an ultimate that you can very well deny with deflect with good positioning. And the fire strike also helps because your team is shattered, right? And it also helps prevent damage from the enemy team, period, from that angle, right? It doesn't have to only be the Reinhardt and the Hog. So that relieves pressure from your team that just got shattered. And Here, you hit shots on a Valkyrie Mercy, and not like your mechanics are bad, it's just that most of the time you're rushing shots, right? That's one point that I'm repeating over and over because it's really important so that you don't feel bad about missing your shots. And you notice that you can very well hit shots and hit harder shots than you're trying to go for. It's just that the shots that you're missing are usually ones that you're rushing. Why am I so hungry after I ate just like an hour ago? I don't know. Probably need to get water after this. And I would guess that with this little time remaining, you'll win this round. Just gonna work out here because the first round I did overanalyze a lot. Because there were a lot of interesting points to be made. Nice, nicely done by your soldier. And then he just feeds the hog, happens. And this is the rotation I talked about. This is perfect. I love this. Nice job. This is exactly what I talked about. And you don't need necessarily only do plays like this on offense, where you feel like you have to push into the enemy team. On the defense, if you set yourself properly, the enemies are gonna push into you and walk into close range, which is where you're strongest at, right? Which is what I'm trying to help you realize, right? You have these moments where you show very advanced pathing and positional knowledge for a bronze player, and then you have moments where you're like lost. Okay, where is a mini? Should I be getting help from my team or not? So it might be that you simply are used to FPS, not necessarily Overwatch with its MOBA elements, right? That could be a scenario which I can believe in. And it makes sense for your profile of player, right? To have this knowledge and lack other types of gameplay, right? That you would expect from a player in Overwatch. I don't think that there is much more for me to talk about, so I would just be repeating myself from that fight. I know I didn't analyze what happened there, but yeah. Now you're holding good position and you're threatening the Fair Mercy. And main reason why you didn't get those kills is not because of your position, it's because of your patience, not because of your mechanics, right? Because you're rushing your shots. Which is different from what a lot of other players would do. You set yourself up for success better than most plat players would against this Fair Mercy, right? So there are these nuances that you have to learn about Overwatch that do come with time, but also I'm really glad that you're looking out for this VOD review, because I'm hoping that this VOD review and videos and more VOD reviews in the future, if you feel like it, will help you climb, because I feel like you have a lot of potential and you're just barely not being able to reach it because of small things like those, right? Not understanding that you can stay up in some positions because you have deflect available and there is no one that can really contest you, such as a Winston, which you can't really stand your ground against if you don't have a pocket, for example. Stuff like that, right? But yeah, this was a nice game. I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them to me in Discord. I saw that you were typing in Discord instead of YouTube chat. That's completely fine. And I mean, I was talking about questions about the VOD review, but that applies to any questions you ever have. You can feel free to hit me up with those. I will always be happy to help. And yeah, good luck on the climb. Now let me go get water, and then I'm gonna be watching a VOD that I played.
Now arriving at
So we're gonna be moving from bronze to GM, and then I also need to remind myself to record this for a video. So let's swap this to GM. Okay, GM. I need to pause this. Oh wait, never mind, this is paused.
ready for battle.
Sorry about that. Let me mark this as done. You're on Discord. And let me go get some water. Alright, I'm back. Let me do this, change back. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, VOD rank is already correct. Lights is still good. It's actually arguably better than before because the clouds went away. So the sun is out more. I want to record this, so yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's any introduction that I want to make to this VOD. I'll probably improvise the introduction.
Ready for battle.
Just do this. Wait for it to be
5,
rip. The 5 starts before the 5 on the timer. There we go. Let's leave it at this and start recording. Let me do this for performance. And let me go back to Overwatch, reduce buffering. Alright. So this is a VOD that I really wanted to showcase because it's one of those games where a player, in this case me, feels like they played really well. So in this game I had 15k damage. At the end I had over 40 limbs with a KD of 5. I had 75% kill participation, and yet we lost, right? So this is the common trap mentality of I hard carried. How do we lose a game where I hard carry? Well, we're gonna be watching here just how often I actually made mistakes that could have won us the match. And yes, you can very well just carry harder, and this thing about medals and stats often lacks context, right, on stuff. You might have felt like you did a lot because you see a shiny gold medal alongside a really high damage number, but that doesn't mean that that damage went on the correct thing, right? Let's say you dealt 1000 damage to a hog. The hog can probably tank that. Let's say you did 300 damage to a squishy. That squishy probably didn't actually take that. You probably killed the squishy because they got healed a little bit, but then you bursted them down, right? That 300 damage is lower than the 1000 damage, but it is way more meaningful because it netted you an elimination, right? And so stats, medals lack context and can put you in these mentalities of, oh hey, I did really well and how did we lose? Oh, I'm gonna flame my team, I'm not gonna be able to take anything away. And that's the most important part. If you get away from this, oh, it's my team's fault. If you notice that you could have done more, that's when you manage to improve in the game, right? If you are tilted that if your team did more, you could have won, and that is true. If my team did more in this match, we could have easily won, right? If I just get satisfied by thinking that and I feel like my performance was good, I'm not gonna learn anything, I'm not gonna improve from this match. If I go ahead and look at this match as, okay, I should have done more and we would have won this, then I can easily go ahead and learn from this experience because I'm accepting that I didn't do as much as I could, and I'm looking to improve to do more the next time, right? That's a very important shift in mentality that I'm gonna be going over in this VOD, and it is why I feel like this VOD is so important to talk about. So without further ado, let's watch this. Let's see how much I did and how much it ended up not doing.
Capture the objective.
So, rolling out, trying to go as fast as possible, see the enemy comp and hold a good position. See, pocketed soldier. Scary. I do this wall climb so that I don't get close to any surface that the helix rocket can hit and then can splash me. Let's say I drop here. The helix may be able to splash me if I'm here and kill me, so I'm wall climbing because there's nowhere that can splash me. And since he can't direct me because of the column in front of me, I'm completely safe there after taking that poke. I didn't want to burn my deflect, and I managed not to because I was able to hide in time from the soldier, right? Now I'm trying to rotate right side, see if I have good pathing to get to the soldier. Probably should not have shot the diva if I'm trying to go for this sneaky play. I would have gone the full way here, but since the soldier and the mercy, which are the targets that I mainly care about, right? The other DPS is Sombra, maybe I can go for the Ana, but I was not seeing the Ana at that time, so the main target that I'm trying to contest are the mercy and the soldier. Even if not to kill them, just to remove this damage from the team, because that's a lot of damage, right? Then I decided that since they're rotating away from this position here, I am not gonna have time to afford to go the full way. So I'm gonna have to cut a little bit and go in a little bit of more in view position of the enemy to try to actually turn this fight, because we just lost our hog, right? They should be lower on cooldowns at this point because they just spent Ana had an assist, the hog probably used hook for this play, so I probably need to rush in to do something at this point, and I cannot afford the full flank, right? That is my decision. I try to get some early damage on the mercy, not get anyone low enough so that I feel like I should commit to someone, so I immediately try to get out, and I melee the Sombra immediately to prevent a hack, which is gonna be the main thing that's gonna kill me, because it's gonna prevent me from deflecting the rest of the way after that, after I already do the initial engagement and all of them are aware of me and maybe try to hook me or CC me and stuff like that. We get the elimination, hog is low, I'm playing this pillar to get cover from soldier and Ana. I'm trying to annoy them, but I don't care as much to hard engage them until... Let's actually go back a little bit, right? Mostly playing my life here, not trying to over aggro on them, even if we're down. Now I'm trying to contest them, but this dash here isn't like, oh hey, I'm hard committing onto them. I'm close to two pillars which I can play around, and I'm just trying to pressure them out of this position. And I can also not only play around these two pillars, I can also immediately drop, and then I'm out of their line of sight. They can chase, but they're gonna be half HP for my engagement. My team is gonna be there to be able to shoot them. So this engagement is a soft engagement that looks to get space, and if they overstay their welcome, I get an elimination, right? It's very low risk for me to do this play. End up missing the kill on the soldier, my Widow gets a finish. At that point I just say I can engage this Ana and take the duel, and I take it and I win it. And we turn the fights, right? So alright, everyone in the team did very well for us to be able to turn the fight after we lost hog early. And let me drink some more water while we have a little bit of downtime. Actually, let me go back a little. So we get points. First thing I do is try to look for positioning. This is a good position that allows me to poke. I rotate between the pillar and here because this gets me closer, so that if I get someone low, it's easier for me to dash and finish. and for me to land secondary fires instead of primaries, but anything I shoot really is gonna be easier to land closer range, right? And I still have my dash to rotate, I can drop, I have a lot of cover, so not like me going from here to here is any dangerous. This is a good play from me, and I'm not actually trying to deflect on the soldier because it's actually very unlikely for me to be able to kill him. So I'm just actually trying to farm blade, because I see that my Ana is very close, so I'm deflecting on the hog instead, because that means that the soldier is probably more likely to shoot more bullets. Why? Because the pressure isn't going for him, the pressure is going for someone else. If you deflect damage back at someone, they're gonna notice that you're deflecting sooner than if you're deflecting it at someone else. So those are the reasons why I deflect on the hog instead of at the soldier, right? And then I just dash back because I don't want to end up feeding because Sombra hacks me from an off angle and I don't dash in time, right? Alright, I'm close to blade. Our plan is to nano blade this fight and win it. So I'm trying to not over peak. I'm not even trying to set up for any aggressive plays or sneaking on the backline, mainly because of Sombra too. So it's not just because of nano blades, because Sombra can spot me and I won't even know. The enemy team can turn at me, the Sombra can hack me, and I'm just throwing and giving my team a 5v6, right? So going for these aggressive setups are gonna be way more dangerous to do when you're trying to defend against Sombra, because Sombra can catch you off guard, right? Be it her or by her scouting. So this is why I'm playing here. I'm kiting back to point while slowly getting outcharged. Checking right side, if someone tries to rotate there. I get attacked by the Sombra. I decided here that it was fine for me to get hacked because my team has LOS. My Brig is already pre-packing me before I'm taking damage. Because of the hack, she knows that I'm gonna get pressured. I have a Hog here to prevent them from really trying to push, because Hog can maybe one-shot someone or punish whoever tries to go for me in this angle, because they have to go for a really aggressive peek on my team to be able to hit me on this area, because I have really good cover here, right? So I have a Zarya, so I decided I'm gonna let myself get hacked, because hack is gonna expire sooner than my dash would be off cooldown if I dashed away from the hack, right? So I decided I'm gonna tank this hack, I'm gonna use positioning and my team to stay alive, and then I'm gonna nano blade after. The problem is, my Ana just gets instantly killed by the soldier by his greedy peek, which ends up not being punished by my team. And also because he just landed the damage boosted helix to my Ana's face, right? 2 shots plus this kills my Ana, so even if it is a greedy peek by the soldier, it is something that he can feel pretty confident in doing when they have a diva against a hog and the diva is in a position to dive in a defense matrix a hook. So it's a good play by them, which screws up with our plans. Now, I would not blade here if my Widow didn't get a pick, but I'm blading here because my Widow got a pick. At this point, it was very dangerous for me to do this whole rotation without deflect, without dash, but I really don't want to dash to close the distance here when the Mercy is going to be able to fly away and I'm not going to be able to kill her with the swing and a dash, right? This is why I save it. I was thinking about deflecting the hog, but I decided against it because I didn't want to burn it in case that the Sombra would try to hack me, and then I would use my dash to stay alive instead of be greedy on the kill and the Mercy, right? So if something dangerous was to happen, I was going to use my dash first and then use my deflect later for rotation, because the deflect isn't as good at dodging the hack as the dash is, right? So because of this, I end up having the liberty to dash to follow the Guardian Angel, which doesn't immediately kill the Mercy because of the pillar, but it ends up netting me the elimination on the Sombra, which is a little bit lucky, but even if I didn't land, my next swing would get to be on the Mercy. So I end up getting value with the blade into this composition, and we'll win the fight. They used some ults for it, good. Now we're chilling. Now I do this dash because I'm scared of the soldier, he just lasered me and I was very low. I don't want to give any chance for them to kill me, so I just dash back to the ground to have recover. And since it's still like they could try to push me, but it's still very dangerous for them. One, they're gonna be pushing into a Genji close range. Two, they're gonna be pushing into my team's line of sight, right? So that's why it isn't the worst thing in the world for me to use this dash. I feel like this is the best decision there, other than deflecting. Now I'm trying to hold this position, playing the pillar. They end up wasting whole hog. I try to deflect the whole hog to try to help my hog, which is gonna get whooped off by the whole hog. I don't want to use my dash to get in front of him because one, I run the risk of dying to the whole hog by dashing too close before I can deflect because of the dash animation, and two, because the hog can just look away, so it's not like I will get the kill. So I'm just gonna try to walk up to the deflect, but if it doesn't work, I'm not gonna have wasted both cooldowns to get in. I'm gonna have my dash to get out if I need to, right? Now they got 2 picks, 4 picks now. We try to commit with the nano back. And this is one of the things, right? We're later gonna see that me killing this Mercy could have been one of the things that turns this match. But because I didn't kill her, because I rushed my shots, I could have just, instead of jumped and tried to line up the headshots with the jump, I could have simply looked up, triple headshot melee. Mercy's dead. That means that the enemy team would have 1, 2, 3 dead, right? Both support and Sombra. So both tanks and soldier would be the only ones alive. Maybe we don't necessarily win the fight through that, but the next fight we're gonna have an advantage on, because our kills are more recent than their kills. So me missing this kill is very big. And now I'm also gonna stagger myself trying to run away as if I had any chance, right? So this just wastes a little bit of time. It's not the worst thing in the world, I get some ult charge out of it, but when we don't have a nano to combo against this composition, Blade gets way less value, right? So me staggering for that ult charge is arguably not worth it. That's another mistake in my part. The hog gets slapped. Because the hog is on low ground, there isn't really any imminent danger. Let me go back a little bit. So I don't deflect to save him. I do deflect to try to save myself from Ana cooldowns, and after I see that she uses them, right? So she slapped my hog and she naded. Or actually, this deflect is actually just a waste. I was kind of thinking about deflecting because of the D.Va, because the D.Va close range can deal a lot of damage to you, but the D.Va just ended up not caring about me. So I end up wasting my dash. And here, I died because I didn't notice that the D.Va was sweeping in here. She used boosters and that gives me a slight boop that puts me back into Soldier's line of sight. Otherwise I would have dashed here, right? If I noticed, I would have dashed here. But without the D.Va boop, I'm just safe here and I have my dash if I want to get somewhere. Which is probably gonna be to dash here to try to run to Mega, right? But it's still an okay trade for me to do. It's one of the best blade value plays that I'm gonna be getting against this composition. So I go for it, just unfortunate that the boop happens and I end up trading ultimates for it, which is good. Now I'm walking back, they're using way more ultimates now, which is good for us. We still got a pick on the Ana, don't have a rest for it. I'm not gonna be able to walk up to this left soldier, so I just respect the hog and get out. Try to bait hook so that I can stay, play more aggro, try to force them from positions. This is a dash for mobility, not really looking for the kill. Looking for a cheeky off angle here. Now I'm looking to rotate on the back line. I destroyed the translocator. Unfortunately, the Mega is hacked. And the soldier is chasing me. And not only is the soldier chasing me, I didn't grab high ground because I dropped. I don't know why I dropped instead of staying up here, but I dropped. That's what happens. Now I'm in a very unfavorable position. But if I kill him fast, then I get the win, right? If he plays close range into me. Sure, it is carry for me, and one Helix kills me, and I was down my deflect. That's one of the biggest things, because he burned my deflect early. But I feel like burning my deflect early is the best course of action. The main risk I have there to lose the 1v1 and is to get Helix in the face. If I don't get Helix in the face, I don't get one shot. And so as long as I can kill him fast, using a secondary fire, dash secondary fire, that makes it hard for him to aim, I'm fine. So I deflect preemptively and then I look for a quick kill, because that's my only chance in that situation, unless I want to go for a long reset play. And my long reset play is getting to dash to the high ground and hoping that the soldier doesn't camp me going for this mega. And hoping that this mega isn't hacked, or this one is, right? So I thought it in this position with the time bank right there, 85% at this point. I needed to take that fight. They could not hope to reset and get back in the fight, and yeah, right? I get the kill on the soldier. I'm looking for my way to get back in. I get the nano, which heals me, and now I go for this hug. I'm deflecting, try to see if I can help. Unfortunately, I can't. I get played out of this. We got the fight win. We have some ultimates, we still have others. Probably should be able to win with Rally Blade. And this is where one of the biggest mistakes of the match happened. My Brig rallies when we're talking about the plan for the next fight. Which is unfortunate, but it still means that we're gonna have overhealth for the next fight. The biggest mistake isn't on her, it's actually on me. Because I go here, okay, 300 HP, I can dive them. I want to blade early, when I don't necessarily need to actually blade early. I feel like I played this well. I didn't outstrike Nano, but I mostly played to try to outplay cooldowns, chase them, and try to get the kill on the Mercy through multiple means. Dashing before the ultimate to get some early damage into her. Play the high ground to try to swing and have more freedom to dash to wherever she grenades towards. I decided that it wasn't worth it when I saw that she was healing. She was getting healed by both Ana and Soldier, and she was going to injure here, so I thought that it was too risky for me to try to commit to a kill. So I decided to try to get out. I got the dash reset on the bow. And still, this is a 6v5 for us, because Ball had to go 1v5 for this. My play, even though it doesn't get value from kills, it gets value from taking out their nano, plus getting the attention of all of the enemy team and me not dying for it while my team gets rid of Ball, right? But they're still gonna manage to lose this fight, because I could have gotten more value out of Blade, right? Unfortunately, Baby Diva was won and we didn't get the finish early. I got the finish on a few people, but unfortunately it's just not enough. The enemy team just clutches this fight out. The ball is already back. They get res, the soldier is alive with HarmlessPoke, the Mercy gets Valkov. And because I didn't set up for a higher value blade, and because I bladed early into an advanced position, I ended up making it harder for me to get value from Blade. I did get a lot of value from Blade, I just could have gotten more. And this is a very important moment for me to make a mistake, because this mistake loses us the round. Sure, Brig Rally being in a better timing would have probably made us win, and Ana not getting picked off at the start, which is what I think what happened, also would have been big. So I'm pretty sure that my Ana got picked off early because of her positioning. Actually, both my Brig and my Ana got picked off early because of their positioning. But still, that doesn't mean that I couldn't have won this fight by blading and killing a lot of squishies, because I had rally armor. If I play positions well, they are forced to touch points, right? So at that point they can't run away so easily, they can't peel so easily because they are forced to stay in this square, right? At least someone on their team is. And since we already got rid of Ball, then that means that one of these 5 players has to go there. So that means that there's one less player I have to care for. And that also means that I have better ways to get angles on them for blade or a surprise engagement on them, because that means that when the enemy team tries to push points, sure, the diva can touch alone, but the enemy wants to get line of sight to actually get stuff done, right? Soldier wants this position probably, Hanzo might want this position here, right? Or an angle similar to Soldier, or climbing on this pillar, stuff like that, right? So I could have waited for those, camped one of these positions, right? I stay here, wait for them to be close, and then I get to do more damage than just that in dash engagement that I did in the Mercy. Pull out the blade, and then probably helps me guarantee it. Or if I just had better target priority, maybe I go for the Ana, or I track that they have Nano, that I bait Nano into one target, let's say the Soldier, and then I go for the Mercy, right? Or the Hanzo, or whatever. I just could have played that very differently, and it's very easy for me to get baited into, oh, my team should have not positioned very badly there, when I can just realistically very easily win this fight, even with the mistakes from my team, right? So that's this round. Lost this round, I felt like I did well. I could have definitely done way more this round. This is far from the best round I played, but it already helps us learn a little bit, right? Probably should not have shot the ball. But this is something that I do immediately, usually on this map, because this is a good position. This allows you to, if they try to go inside, you can drop on them with both your cooldowns available. Right? That is what I talk about pathing a lot in VOD reviews. Pathing is very important for Genji, because it allows him to have lower risk or no risk for the plays that he wants to go for, which are close range duels and stuff. That instead of having to dash into those, can dash out of them if he fucks up, right? In this case, I do dash in, but that's because of a very important thing. They don't have someone that can very easily punish me. In fact, it's gonna be very hard for them to punish me during the time that I dash in and try to look for a combo, and the Soldier is discarded. The Soldier being discarded means that I can get 200 damage into him without having any headshots, which makes the combo way easier. Plus the angle that I'm at, dashing into the ground from an angle, means that it's easier for me to pinpoint a good position for the dash to get a very easy to land angle on the one shot, right? So I just get to do this dash, secondary fire, melee combo with just body shots, and that kills him. Because the angle helps me, the surprise play helps me, the discord helps me, there's really very little time for them to slip me where I cannot deflect. There isn't really someone that can kill me through this, so there isn't like someone like a Winston or a Zarya, a high charge that can taser me or laser me from my deflect, so no Cassidy stun, for example, that can splash away from my deflects and get me stunned. So I feel like this is a very safe opportunity for me to go for, because if I fuck this up, I deflect, I drop down, I can rotate maybe here, or I can rotate inside, or I can rotate here, or I can walk all the way left and then walk climb here and have this position to play and go here. I just have so much to do if this fails that I'm completely fine. I'm just posturing for positioning and soft engaging while having this great opportunity to just straight up win the fight, most likely, because I'm gonna be denying the whole high ground from them. I deflect, trying to see if something's gonna happen, but it doesn't. I'm just spamming them to try to force them out of this position, and at this point they're giving up positioning. Get the kill on the Ana. She doesn't have slip. I don't remember if I cared about nade there or not. She probably used nade too, but I thought that this was a good risk for me to take because it was unlikely that she would live. And I was confident in my aim to get that. That's also not an important thing. It's not like you can't take any risks and you just have to play, oh, I'm always going to path in a way that I can dash out. No, if you feel like the risk is worth it, you can go for the play. It might not be the best, but also another very important thing is that the risk reward isn't the only thing that matters when going for those plays. Another thing that really matters is going to be how confident you are in the play. If you're feeling hot, if you're feeling that you're doing very well, then you can end up going for more plays. That doesn't mean any play is gonna be good, right? You can still make very stupid plays even when you're playing at your peak performance, right? But if you're feeling well, that's going to give you a little bit more leeway to go for these aggressive types of plays that don't really have a plan to get out outside of getting a pick, trading for value, or just getting the value that you want and getting out from the dash reset, right? Because you're going to be hitting your shots more often. If you go for those types of plays on a bad day, it's less likely for you to actually, for that play to be worth it, right? So that's another thing that you have to consider. How well do you think you're playing? Are you very confident or not in going for that play alongside if the value is worth it or not? But anyway, I immediately looked to path behind after doing that type of play. I rushed my primary fire, but I do get the kill on her. And that just goes to show, doesn't matter how well I feel like I'm playing, right? I can still get easier kills than that by pathing properly and getting surprise plays. My Zarya does some parkour, gets up there and finishes the soldier for me, good. We're denying them high ground, which is the main goal. The kills are secondary. As good as they are, the main objective is to delay them and posture for positioning, right? Which is what I'm doing. I'm always staying in deflect rotation range. I'll go for these plays. This blade was awkward. I guessed wrong where the soldier was gonna go after my first swing, so that means I don't get the finish on him. I do get to live though, which is good, and now that means I can keep annoying them on the high ground by bouncing between cover. And now I'm in the perfect position to follow up on the grab, and now we're just chilling. Right?
Think up on your actions.
Now at this point I'm thinking about the way that I'm gonna approach the situation. I already repeatedly stayed close here, used deflect to stay a little bit up and then dash to positions that are safer and stuff like that. I felt like I didn't want to repeat this play, so I wanted to mix it up. Maybe they would go... Alright, I thought that they would still go high ground, not low ground, so going for this play that I wanted to go would be actually a very interesting way to get to do another pathing play on them, right? Which would be to wall climb here, and then I can dash through. And then that's free damage, that's free pressure, they might get a cooldown out of them, maybe the Brig tries to bash me but she's too late on that. And I get value through that. And then I can reset back to low ground, they probably don't chase me. I have a lot of things I can do, I can even just wall climb and stall here indefinitely and save my double jump to get out of here and they can't chase me. So many things I can do. I was just looking for a different angle, and them being a low ground just catches me off guard because they have the time to go to high ground, right? They probably should still be trying to go for high ground. But since I see that they're going low ground, I posture a little bit for positioning, and then I try to play high ground, see if I can get a drop assassination. I got Zen low, but I thought it wasn't worth the risk. If the Brick turns, gets a bash on me, I'm dead, right? I don't think that it is worth the risk for me to take. Now the Hog doesn't have hook, I'm trying to deflect to help my Zarya to stay alive. And then this feels more dangerous than the play before, when the Zen was low and I probably would kill him with just a dash and a melee. But this is actually less dangerous than before. The main reason for this is 1, rally, and 2, pay attention. Let's pay attention to where the enemy is rotating as this happens. So I'm gonna be getting rally armor, right? I deflect to try to help my Zarya out, and look at this. Look at where the enemy team rotated. The Brig was close the moment that I was trying to go for the play, but she then gets further and further away as I'm going for the play because the enemy team is rotating inside and Soldier is trying to rotate here, right? So this feels very dangerous, but with 275 HP, I think that is what I had, and the enemy rotation going towards there. I had a perfect read on them to have one. I was feeling like I was playing well, and I felt like I was in a distance for the dash that would give me a very good head start on the Zen. It would be a surprise play because he probably wouldn't expect me to go for it, and I would have some time on the enemy team peeling because of the timing read that I had on the enemy team, right? Still would be better probably for me to do a pathing play on them, right? Because that means I don't have to use the dash in. I can, let's say, wall climb, drop on him, and I have the dash to get out if I need to, dodge the brig stun and dash back here, and I can still maybe poke and finish him off. But this is the play that I ended up going for, and it worked, right? Now the brig is trying to push me. I can, one, dash out here, but I decided that if the soldier isn't gonna push, and it probably shouldn't push because it's 94% already, they are down 2, and him over chasing me just gives them last chance to win here. I decide to stay here, and if the brig wants to fight, I'm gonna gladly fight her. So what ends up happening, the brig gets too close, and she tries to be too greedy with the bash, swing, and then whip shot. So I turn while she's down her shield, I get 2 headshots and a dash in, and that's enough to finish her. And so I get both supports and manage to live. And now both DPS are dead. Probably should have been my kills, Tracer steals them. But yeah. That is this round. Very, very clean. Not free from mistakes, but this was definitely my best round of this match. And the only round that we won. Now let's move on to the last round.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round.
I could arguably have TP'd our team out. My team TP'd out and I didn't see. Usually you don't TP out on top here, like my team did. Usually people TP from here. I don't know if this is faster. This probably is because this is a straight line basically over to cages, which is where my team wanted to fight. On this right side here. Then just going main, because if you go main then you have to go inside here, which prevents you from just walking straight because you have to go inside here and look right and then look back. But whatever, I end up going main here. I also probably should have been the one TPing your team, but Tracer is also a hero with good mobility, so she can TP and then swap back and triple blink and be close to the team, so that's fine. So I go main just to check what the enemy team is doing. Soldier is main, I deflect, try to not take damage. And then I want to do the same play as before that I did on the last round. Go over the roof if I have the opportunity to try to pounce on someone that is unaware. The soldier is checking me, so I decide no, this isn't worth it. If they're not gonna be playing cages and they're gonna play here, they're gonna have a clear sight line on me when I try to go for this play. Plus I'm not gonna have a target on this. So I might as well give up on this play and do something else. I could go cages with my team, but I wanted to get an off angle or a pincer attack, something of that sort, right? So I decided to try to go here, get this mini, and go around. I did not know that there was a Pharah here. I react to her as fast as I can, and then I managed to run away.
The objective is
But this is bad because now the Pharah is pressuring for free, and while I'm resetting, they're up, right? So now they get the cap. Hope the good thing is my team doesn't die. Now I get to look for this play because the soldier isn't paying attention to me, and I'm close range to the Pharah. And since we have Tracer, like the best character in our team to get rid of the Pharah is the Ana, and probably after that it's me, because of the vertical mobility I have. So I decide that the Pharah is my duty, and I go for the Pharah. I sadly don't get to kill the Mercy, but now we're taking angles on them. I get some good entry damage on the Ana, and then I get to finish her. Try to deflect preemptively on the Pharah because she might go for a rocket on me, so I don't want to take 156 damage to the face. And then we get a good fight. I could have played that a little bit better, killed the Mercy when I chased after I killed the Pharah, but happens. This is a really good deflect that I did. Unfortunately, my secondary fire didn't go off before the dash. That would have guaranteed the kill. the kill that I got was a little bit lucky because the soldier didn't strafe in time, but I do get the kill, force the res off, that's good. I have blade available. I don't know if I'm gonna wait for nano or not. Hopefully I will, but yeah. Unfortunately, again, my right click didn't go off. Only my melee. But at least there's some pressure on the Pharah. Since the Ana isn't helping the Orisa, I'm just going on her, right? Because if she's not gonna get supported, sure, I'm not the best at it, but the Mercy is with the Pharah. If the Ana isn't healing the Orisa, I can take her down from behind the shield, and that's gonna mean that my team is gonna have better angles to for example, land nades on the enemy team and poke them down, right? So I decided that it was worth it at that scenario, considering how things were going, like the Pharah already far away, I wasn't set up. I would need to walk a lot to actually get to contest the Pharah, and there would be a low chance to me killing her. I could have maybe tried to look for the Ana, but I thought that, okay, if I have this good of an angle on the Orisa, I might as well go for her. I can take her a good chunk of her HP very quickly, force out cooldown, and if the Ana appears to help the Orisa, I go for the Ana, otherwise I kill the Orisa, and that's what happens, right? Then the Nano Blade gets a lot of value. I don't know how the Mercy lives this, which is very unfortunate. And that's another thing, right? The Mercy was very low. My team did not finish her in the well, I was calling that. I probably should have finished her myself. But even though I got 3 kills with the Nano Blade, I should have killed the Mercy still, and maybe even the soldier, right? And we end up losing this fight. When I just had everything going for me, right? I played that very well. I set myself up for success with the Nano Blade, and I fucked up the easy kill on the Mercy that was sleeping. Because she was sleeping in a position which made it harder for me to headshot long range, so I should have just walked up closer to her and triple headshot melee. But I decided not to do that and rush my shots, hoping that she would be slapped in a position that was good for me, which she wasn't. So I just rushed the situation instead of analyzing that she was slapped in a bad position for me to headshot her. So I needed to walk up more. The soldier wasn't aware of me, so I didn't need to rush my shots. The hog was unaware of me, so I didn't need to rush my shots. So that would have guaranteed us that fight. They wouldn't have been able to stall with Valkyrie and stuff like that, so we would have still have point possession and would have won a fight where they used a lot of ultimates. Now I get an aggro position on the enemy team, which is very good. Now they have to look back for me, but I don't react in time for the slip, and this is very bad because now this is the best opportunity that we had to retake, because this means this is an angle that they constantly have to check, and the moment that they don't, or the moment that they check me, my team has less pressure to walk up. The moment that they don't check me, I have a chance to get a kill. So this is a win-win for me, no matter what I do. Right? The only moment that the enemy team really wins from this play is if they hard W into my team and take a 65. But at that point I might be able to get a kill anyway. And then the next fighter might be favored because their kills would be would have been more in the past than ours, right? Our kills would have been more recent than theirs. So that would mean that our next fight would mean an advantage for us because we would be respawning faster than they would, right? So it's still arguably a win-win for me for this pincer play, but I end up fucking it up because I don't deflect this leap. And that is another fight win that I throw away when I set myself up for it, right? One with the Nano Blade and then fucking up the Mercy that is left, and the other with a flank that takes around 20% for me to work because I have to 1, flank around until they don't look and I'm full health and I have good positioning and I'm close to the enemy, and 2, my team is there in a position where when I push I'm gonna be getting value, and it's not like the entire enemy team turns at me, kills me, and then looks back at my team and my team is there, right? I need my team to be pushing in for the timing to be right for the pincer attack. So that's another very big fuck up in a match that feels like I'm playing so well. Probably should have pushed the Orisa since she's alone. Soldier should be dead from that engagement. I was looking for a power drive. I did over 100 damage to that soldier. but it's unfortunate we don't get the kill. They're ulting, they still have possession, not worth it for me to really pick when they have visor up still. I'm respecting the hook, I'm respecting the hook. I am also trying to look in being in a position where I can punish the Pharah. I dodged the hook. Unfortunately my diva just feeds, and I can't even help her because the hog... my diva ended up in a position where the hog doesn't have to... I cannot body block the whole hog, right? So let me go back here actually. I dodged the hook, the hog is forward, we should be able to punish him. Unfortunately my diva is very low already going for this play, and she DMs too soon, she should be shooting him because he's low. If he decides to shoot the diva, then she loses mech but he dies for it because he doesn't vape. Our diva should have just accepted that her losing mech for Hog's life is more worth than DMing and trying to save her mech and give the Hog a chance to run away. But that's out of my control, so I should not be really commenting on that, so yeah, whatever. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I feel like this play that I'm doing is good. He's still half HP. I still haven't committed any cooldowns. So now the whole Hogs, my diva ends up feeding. Unfortunate, I cannot be in a position to deflect the whole Hog. Right, that's the unfortunate thing. I'm not gonna dash in because of things that I already talked about in the first round. And there's also an Ana that is pocketing him, so very unlikely that I somehow manage to get my diva out alive and kill the Hog or something that gets value from using both the cooldowns here. So I don't. I end up just dealing damage. There is still the Hog is the only thing that I can really do. Maybe I shouldn't have used the dash, that could have changed stuff. That would have given me a better blade engagement. I tried to go for the squishes with the blade instead of tanks because that's the only thing I should have been doing. But arguably, if I don't use the dash here, I can dash, blade, and then I have the dash reset to help me burst targets quicker instead of letting them just out-heal my damage, which is what they did, right? And then I would have also had the liberty of choosing to go for the Ana instead of going for the soldier, because then I would have the second dash to go for her, right? I wouldn't be forced to go into him because he's the only squishy in range of swings. That's another mistake that I did. And this cost us the match. Again, like I talked in this very start, a match where I did so much and yet there are so many mistakes which if I fixed even a single one of them, we probably win, right? So this just goes to show that this hard carried mentality, or however you want to twist the idea, I carried, I hard carried, doesn't matter, like my team is bad, it's just something that you need to get out of your mind. Don't care about stats too much. Stats like context, and even in context you can fall in traps with them of feeling like, okay, if I have a KD of 5 and 75% kill participation, it's on my team for not doing more, not on me not doing more. Right? In reality, you should just be trying to improve your own gameplay to have more agency over whether you win or lose in the other matches that you play, right? That's what it ends up being about. Sure, you're gonna get some teams that are better than others, and sometimes you're gonna win because of your team, not because of you. But the only thing that you can control on every match is your own inputs in it, because you are the only consistent thing between all of the matches that you play, unless you always duel with someone, right? At which points then that player is also a common input that's gonna be existent in every match. But realistically, you should only be expecting to your own inputs to be the only thing that you can actively try to improve on every single match, right? So that's why I brought this match to be reviewed. Let's try to talk about this mentality and how it is a trap, and how moving away from it can really help you improve and get the most out of your other matches and of your learning process, right? And I hope that this replay helped, and that it has been very good for educational purposes. And yeah, I'll be seeing you all in the next time. Alright, this is the video recorded. I am sweating. Holy. So hot in this room. But yeah, video ended, but I'm also ending stream. My voice is really I talked a lot in these 2 hours, so yeah. I'm gonna end stream, I'm gonna be working on a video, and I accidentally unmuted my preview window and I got scared for a second hearing my own voice. But yeah, I'm gonna be saving my voice, quote unquote. I don't know if that is a sentence that makes sense in English. I don't care. Not a native English speaker. I hope you, live audience, not just the future audience for the VOD review that I did of myself, enjoyed this. If you have any questions, ask me in Discord because I'm gonna be ending the stream, right? Or just quickly ask them here, but yeah. I will be ending stream and I'll be seeing you all in the next time. Bye bye!